Hey guys, today I'm going to do Jim Carrey's natal chart, and he was born January 17, 1962 at 2:30 a.m. in Newmarket, Canada, Ontario. So he has Scorpio rising 15 degrees, which I'm very surprised. Would have never imagined that Jim Carrey would have been that deep. But now I see where he gets all of this, creativity from. Gets it from the depth of Scorpio rising. Now, interesting enough, he's got Neptune right in the ascendant. So he's got Neptune 13 degrees, and it's only two little degrees before, the rising sign, which is pretty much a conjunction. But there's actually more to that. When you have a planet that's before your horizon, it can mean that the power of the planet is hidden in your subconscious, and that's what is giving you the creativity for you to manifest things outwardly and physically out of your body in the first house when they're hiding in the 12th house. 12th house is a very secret house, but it's pretty much in his ascendant. So he's got Neptune rising in Scorpio, and Neptune is very creative because Neptune is a visionary. It creates illusions, it creates dreams, it creates visions. So that is like the theme of his life, being able to visualize and having these facial expressions when he tries to imitate someone, and it manifests physically in his first house. He's able to, do impersonations really well with Neptune, rising right there, 13 degrees Scorpio. Now, Jim has a stellium in his third house of communication, okay? Third house rules Gemini. Gemini is ruled by the Magus, the magician in the tarot card system. And the magician is pretty much what he is, a magician. He's able to transform things out of nothing. That's what Jim Carrey does. So he's got a stellium there in the third house, having to do with communication. He's got Mars, 17 degrees Capricorn. He's got Venus there, 24 degrees. He's got his Sun, because he's actually a cusp, I would say. He is a little bit cusping between Aquarius and Capricorn, but yeah, he's pretty much a Capricorn. And he also has in his third house Saturn, I think 1 degree in Aquarius. And Jupiter, 14 degrees, in between his fourth and third house. He's kind of like cusping there. And his Mercury is 14 degrees also, which is conjunct to Jupiter. So the Jupiter and the Mercury are conjunct in Aquarius. He's brilliant. Okay, Aquarius rules Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Very brilliant man. Uranus signifies the unexpected, surprises, and he channels Mercury, his communication skills, very well in the third house. And with Jupiter there conjunct, he's very blessed with how he does it. Jupiter's the blesser. So with Mercury and Jupiter there conjunct in Aquarius, he's a very well organized man, and he's a good observer, a good analyzer. Aquarius is the constellation of the analyzer. Now, coming back to that, he was born on the 17th of January. 17th is ruled by the star in the tarot system. It's the star of Newt that's very inspired, and she's also ruled by Aquarius. Like, people that are born in the 17th, they have like this glow in their face. Like, they have such hope and inspiration for the world, and they can't wait for the future. And he's just like that. Plus, he's got the Jupiter and Mercury conjunct right in Aquarius in the third house. So that's just grandiose. Just makes him a master at what he does. Now, Saturn there, that's just mastery of the craft. Everything he channels with that Jupiter and Mercury conjunct in the third house, the Saturn grounds it, makes it into a discipline. It's like he says, you have to keep practicing, your craft. You have to keep practicing the mirror. And Saturn just grounds that energy. He's got the sun there, meaning that he shines there in the third house. That's where he's known for, his mimics, okay? Being the Gemini, the one with the polarities, the duality. His ability to mimic a multitude of facades. Okay, Gemini symbolizes that. The hands too, the way he moves his hands, the third house. He also got his Venus there, which is the woman that he loves or will marry. 24 degrees Capricorn, and he will either be more attracted to Gemini women that have a brilliant mind, or a very goal-oriented, ambitious woman, which has to do with Capricorn. So it's like a blend between those. That's the kind of woman that he's very much attracted to. Now, a woman that will tear him apart would be actually in his first house. A woman that strokes his ego, but she's got a lot of mystery to her. Okay, because the first house do with the ego. So if you got Neptune's there and you're a man, the woman's going to be like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so brilliant, you're so, talented and this and that. because he's stroking your ego in the first house, and Neptune's in the first house, Neptune. But with Scorpio there, it means that she's a very mysterious woman and hides secrets. So that's something he would watch out for. But no, I think he did marry a woman that was very much, something that I described with Venus there in the third house with Capricorn. Now, his drive and his ambition is also in the third house. Okay, he's got 17 degrees Capricorn Mars. So he's very driven, very goal-oriented. He has to climb to the top right in his sphere of work, which has to do with communicating, with expressing. Okay, third house is all about expression. Now he's got the North Node right in his 10th house. Okay, he's got an 18 degrees Leo. That's where he's heading at. Okay, the North Node is where you're heading at in life, and that's his priority, career. Okay, the 10th house to do with fame, recognition, what you do in life, what you're known for, and that's what he wants. That's what he's aiming for. Now he's also got Uranus 29 degrees in Leo. Right there, I wouldn't say next to the North Node because they're really not conjunct, but it's in the same house, 10th house. Now Uranus in the 10th house changes things wherever he's at, but in the 10th house changes your career. You're always constantly moving, constantly changing, and for Jim, he's constantly shocking people with his characters, because Uranus has to do with shock. He's a lightning bulb, so his characters are very eccentric, as Uranus rules Aquarius. Also, his characters have an intensity with Pluto 9 degrees in his 10th house in Virgo. So everything that he projects out there, it has a strong impact on people, and people love him for that. People always remember his characters because of the way he portrays them, the way he shocks people with that Uranus there. And also, he's got to be in control of his career. Okay, he's got to be in control of his career, which brings me back to he faced his trial, I believe, for the death of his girlfriend after exposing the Illuminati, right? The Illuminati killed his girlfriend, and now they're trying to put him in trial, and they're trying to take him out of that control in the 10th house. That was his worst nightmare, okay? They probably saw his Pluto there in the 10th house. They're like, okay, I got something for you. We're just going to blame something on you and just totally ruin your career in the 10th house and take that control of having that control that you have in your 10th house. So you can see how that's working. Now, Jim Carrey has the moon in Gemini. That's another Gemini master magus magician placement. And he's got it in the 8th house of the occult. So Jim Carrey's a very, very deep man. He may seem like an over the surface type of dude, and he's always seemed like that to me, like pretty goofy and stuff. But now that I look at his chart, man, this dude is very deep. He's very dual, and I think he's bipolar. He once said he was bipolar, but I think he's more in the manic side of bipolar. Having Gemini moon, I'm not saying everybody that has Gemini moon is bipolar, okay? But with all these placements that he's got in his chart, the stellium in his 3rd house rules Gemini, and now with the Gemini moon, yeah, I could see why he could be bipolar. And that Neptune in his 1st house, hiding, just a little above his 12th house, that could bring him depression. Neptune is blue, okay? Neptune could give you a series of delusions that could make you very depressed, gives you the blues. Which also brings me to his drawings. It was hiding in his 12th house, just above his 1st house, coming to his 1st house. So dude always drew and nobody knew anything about it because that was something that he kept hidden because that was the only thing that he wanted to hide and keep to himself that kept him alive for expressing himself, When he wasn't able to express himself in any other way, well, he turned to drawing, as an outlet. Now, that 13 degrees Neptune is squaring 14 degrees, semi-squaring 14 degrees Jupiter in Aquarius in his 3rd house or 4th house. Remember, it's cusping between the 3rd and 4th, Jupiter. And again, also Neptune is cusping between the 12th and 1st house. So Jupiter here could signify the father. And we all know the father was like a very frustrated comedian, and he was always pushing, Jim to be a comedian. Father could very well influence his creativity. Maybe his father was very abusive and created a fragmented ego in Jim. He created all these versatile personalities that he displays. He's able to disassociate, and he's able to channel different personalities in order not to feel pain and the rejection. So I can see how all of this is tying in. So whatever the secret that's hiding in the 12th house with that Neptune, it was pretty much brought up by his foundation, his privacy, his home life, okay, which could very well be the father since Jupiter's there. And it's conjunct to Mercury, so Mercury has to do with expression. So the father was very expressive And he probably picked that up from his father being a comedian, a very frustrated one. Now, there's a lot of conspiracies out there saying he's a clone, or, that he's been replaced. The real Jim Carrey died, that he didn't make it through the reprogramming. But I believe that he did make it through the reprogramming. It's just that he was awake when he was getting electrocuted. For those of you people that are into conspiracies and you know what I'm talking about, the MK Ultra, you know that a lot of people that have experienced MK Ultra, mind programmed, mind control, like Teal Swan, she was awake in one session. The guy didn't know it, and that's how she snapped out of it. She was able to discern that she was under mind control, and she was able to break free. Same thing with Jim. They didn't know he was awake while they were performing these things. And now he's all of a sudden even more awake. Now he's spreading the message, and he's quite the opposite of what they wanted him to be, which was a vegetable and an obedient slave who they erased all his memories. But no, I don't think that was the case with him. Same thing with Kanye West. Okay, Kanye West was probably awake during his reprogramming, and they didn't know. I saw this interview in TMZ where he was just completely aware of life, and he was what they call woke. So that's another one that was pretty much awake during the process of reprogramming. Okay, back to astrology. Jim is currently gonna get transits in his third house. Okay, now Saturn hasn't yet touched his third house, and I'm kind of scared because when Saturn goes and touches his Mars in his third house, Mars is Seth, Satan, some cultures. I'm very scared when Saturn goes over that there could be an issue with Jim. Okay, hopefully not a suicide, not an Illuminati sacrifice. I hope not, but it will go there eventually. Saturn is in Capricorn, and when he goes through the second half of Capricorn, then he's going to start touching Jim Carrey's stellium in the third house, which is a lot of planets, guys. He's going to have a Saturn return. And the Saturn return has always felt a house before. Okay, it's never felt that deep when Saturn is conjunct natal Saturn. No, it's always felt a house before. So you're always going to feel the intensity of Saturn return when Saturn is a house before your natal Saturn. Just think about that. You're going to feel it in Vedic astrology, not in tropical astrology. That's the very interesting part about Saturn return. You don't feel it in tropical astrology. I don't know why, but you do feel it in Vedic. So Saturn is currently transiting his second house of value, and he's evaluating what does he really value in life. Okay. Now, he also has Jupiter transiting his first house, and it's been transiting his 12th house for over a year now. Now it's like right in the middle of Scorpio. But it's transiting now his first house, and he's actually expanding himself as an individual. Okay. And whilst Jupiter was in his 12th house, he started drawing and painting. He was being more of a hermit, alone, spending healing in alone time. And the 12th house has to do with healing in alone time when Jupiter transits there. Now Uranus is transiting his sixth house of work, of routine and health. So he may be feeling some shakiness there in the sixth house of routine. All of a sudden, he's not getting maybe the roles he wants. He's changing courses constantly in his sixth house of work. And it's been like that for quite a while, ever since Uranus entered the half phase of Aries. I mean, it just didn't start right now. This year of 2018 is going to have a solar eclipse. In July and August, he's going to have one in his ninth house of travel and expanding his religion, his belief, his spirituality for the next coming 6 months. And he's also going to have a solar eclipse in his career in his 10th house in Leo. So maybe there's going to be a new direction that he's heading to. He's also going to have a lunar eclipse in his 4th house of family and foundation. So it's going to be a lot of endings. There's going to be a lot of endings since he's got a big stellium there in the 4th house, 3rd house. So that lunar eclipse is going to be affecting a lot of his planets there in the 3rd, 4th house. Could be very shaky for Jim. Now Jim is going to have his Venus going retrograde in his 1st house in October and November, and it's going to go retrograde over his Neptune in Scorpio. So he's going to have to be very careful with a lot of depression, okay, and also hidden enemies that wish him wrong. Because he could turn in for drugs, or I know he doesn't do drugs. He says he doesn't do drugs, but it could turn in for the worse, okay? Because Neptune could mean depression. Neptune's right there, so Venus is going to go retrograde between his 12th and 1st house throughout that time. Now, Mars is currently going retrograde in his third house, which is creating a lot of havoc there and a lot of passive aggressiveness, with all the natal planets he's got there. So it will be tough for him till August 27th that Mars goes direct in Capricorn. Mercury is now currently going retrograde in his 10th house of career and fame. So he's probably, reevaluating his direction since he's got the North Node there. Well, this is it, guys. This was the natal chart reading for Jim. And if you guys need a natal chart, make sure to go down and read the description below, and I'll be happy to assist you with your natal chart interpretation. Have a great day.